Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. People are joining. Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Maybe good evening for some of you. It's good afternoon for me here. I'm based in the UK. Okay, we've got people still joining, which is great. We'll give it, as usual, we'll give it a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes to let everyone join, settle down, get ready. So for those of you who have not attended our webinars before, welcome, warm welcome to everyone, but especially to anyone new. We are running those regularly, a couple of times a month. I think this is our first one in September. We were waiting for everyone to come back from summer holiday. It's been quite quiet in August, so we want to kick off in September with a couple more events. But yes, so our events, we always encourage everyone to take part in the discussion if possible in the chat. We've got the chat option open to everyone. Hopefully you can see it. And feel free to say hello, feel free to say where you are watching us from. And during the webinar, you can post your questions, suggestions, anything that comes to your mind about the presentation, about the demo. You can post it at any point. I will be checking. I will be keeping an eye on the chat and also Q&A, which is also available for asking questions. So you can pick whichever you prefer. I'll keep an eye on those, and we will be taking questions as it comes. You know, when Lukman will have a bit of a breather and ready to take questions, we'll take them. So please feel free anytime. You don't have to wait until the end. Yeah, hello from Slovakia. Hi, Thomas. Andres from South Africa. Hi. Yeah, and I can see some of the names that I recognize, so it's great. It's always great to see people coming back. And again, for those of you who have not been to our webinars before, yes, we run them regularly. So to make sure that you are aware when they're happening, if there is a topic that we're covering that you're interested in, you can subscribe to our blog. We always post information about our events on the blog, blog payara.fish. Just email to subscribe on the right-hand side form, and there you go. You will be on top of it all. You will know when and what we are covering with our events. Great. So it's 3 minutes past the hour. I think we can officially start, and if people join after, it's fine. We are recording this webinar as well, just in case you have to leave early or you have to revisit, because we will be going through the technical demo. As far as I am aware, there's no slides today, so there might be bits that you might want to revisit. So yes, you will be able to watch the video after. It will be available a couple of minutes after we finish via the same link that you used to join. And then in a couple of weeks' time, we'll also publish this on YouTube so you can share with anyone else, and you can actually access it on demand as well. So anyone who didn't make it today can still register and watch it on demand later. So, okay. So today, hopefully everyone is aware what we're talking about. So today's topic is really important. We will be talking about mastering the upgrade to Jakarta EE10, which is, I believe, very important for anyone who is using Jakarta EE lower versions, and especially for those of you who are using Payara platform and you would like to use Payara platform 6 as well. Yeah, this is very important topic to cover, and very important migration. So yeah, without further ado, I'll stop sharing my screen and I will leave you with in hands of Lukman, our Jakarta expert and tech writer, who will take you through the demo about migration to Jakarta EE10. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dominica. So I'll just dive in as usual and share my screen, and then we can start the discussion. So as you mentioned, as and when you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I will be checking intermittently. Dominica will also be keeping an eye on it. So we keep this as interactive as we can, as usual. So let's start upgrading to Jakarta EE 10. Now, as you all know, Jakarta EE 10 was released a year ago in September 2022, and the biggest change in that release, the most disrupting actually for the entire industry, was the move from one package name or namespace to the other, from Javax to Jakarta. And this was quite massive, even though technically the upgrade, the move happened in Jakarta EE 9. Jakarta EE 9 was just sort of an intermediate release, so we can confidently round it up to Jakarta EE 10. So the biggest upset was the name change between Java EE 8 and Jakarta EE 10. So you need to upgrade. At some point, you will need to upgrade, if for nothing at all, to be able to use the new features that came about in Jakarta EE 10. Now, before we continue, let's take a look at some of the stuff that came about. This is a blog we put out a while ago for this. Now, as you can see, these are all the APIs that got touched in that release. So there was quite some changes in that release. There was a whole new API, the authentication, the security, the Jakarta Security API. There were changes in concurrency, CDI. There were many changes in EE 10. And for me, the biggest change is the part where Jakarta EE 10 becomes the foundation for faster innovation on the platform. So let's go back to the IDE. Now, Java EE 8 all the way to Jakarta EE 8 are on the Javax namespace, and you need to transition to the Jakarta namespace if you are upgrading. Now, the actual upgrade itself is, in theory, fairly simple. It's just a matter of walking through your class files and then changing all Javax mentions to Jakarta. So it's simply a refactoring from Javax to Jakarta. Generally, it's at its core, it's just about that. So transforming from one package name to the other. What makes it complicated is that no real project stands alone. Every real project has dependencies on other libraries, and those libraries may have dependencies on other libraries, and it's like Inception. It just keeps going and going and going. So that is where it gets tricky. But of course, at Pyara, we have tools to make your life easy. So let's first start here. This is a fairly simple, fairly trivial, and frankly, very underwhelming Java EE application. There's nothing. It's just a simple resource here with a simple resource with a hello world. Really very underwhelming. And if you go to the POM file here, it's a Java EE 8 application. Here, Java EE 8 and Eclipse Micro Profile 4. So fairly simple Java EE. This could also be Jakarta EE 8. It doesn't matter. It's Javax that matters. So we have this here, and we just have a final name here. This. Now let's package this guy, maybe clean package, and take it for a spin. So our application is packaged. Now, in terms of running Java EE 8 applications, since Jakarta EE 10 has been out, virtually all the runtimes have moved to Jakarta EE. Now, in your production applications, you would still be on Java EE 8. And of course, upgrading a production application isn't like a walk in the park, because it has far more ramifications. So you want to take a staggered approach to the upgrade. And that is where a runtime like Pyara Enterprise comes in. So I will show you what I mean. In here, I have a binary installation of the Enterprise 6. Over here, you can see it's 6.6. This is the September release of Pyara Enterprise 6. Now, I'm going to deploy this Java EE 8 application. As you can see, it's Java EE 8. We just packaged it. I am going to deploy this on Pyara Enterprise 6. Now, Pyara Enterprise 6 is Jakarta EE 10 certified. but it's going to deploy the Java EE8 application. Why? Before you even upgrade, you want to see how your application performs, how it works, and all of that. You want to sort of take a peek at what EE10 holds for you, EE10 runtimes can do for you, and all of that. So in that case, it would be good if you could sort of take a bite of what to expect when you do the upgrade. So you can deploy your JavaX applications, in this case, Java EE8 or Jakarta EE8 applications on Pyara Enterprise, and it should work. How? Because behind the scenes, Pyara Enterprise uses the Eclipse transformer to do some magical incantations on the binary we deploy, and then we'll transform these JavaX packages to Jakarta and deploy them. Now, let me just go in here. First, let me copy the path to this package application. This is a WAR file. So let me copy the path, open, copy path, copy location. Now let's deploy this. Let's say as admin, deploy dash pause, just overwrite if any exists. Let's deploy that. Nice. And then this should deploy. So our Java EE8 application is deployed to a Jakarta EE10 runtime, and it's working just fine. So let's go and take it for a spin. For starters, here, let's say localhost :8080/Java/Java EE. So as you can see, it's running. If I enter my name here, say loopman, nope, sorry, it should be API/hello/man. So yeah, so our application is working. Now, this is a fairly simple case. The caveat with this is that the Eclipse transformer is a best effort basis, because in this application, I don't really have any third-party dependencies that have other dependencies that are JavaX and that kind of complexity. The transformer works. So generally, you can give it a try. You can always download a trial version of Pyara Enterprise from the website. You can give it a try and first of all, have a feel for how your application is going to work. So in this case, it works just fine. Now, once you have that, the next step is you want to see things that can break. So if I upgrade my application to Jakarta EE10, what are the things that can break? What has been removed? Some APIs were completely removed. Some APIs were deprecated. So what are the things to expect? We can also use another tool to find that out. So let's run this command here. And then I will show you what it does. Now, this tool is the Upgrade Advisor tool from Pyara. It essentially scans your project, takes a look at everything within the context of the Jakarta EE10 release, and then it literally advises you as to what to do, what has been taken out that you are using in your project, and what you need to change if you upgrade. So let's run this. Now it's done, and if I look at the log here, you can see it says showing advisories. And then it's telling me there is some small changes I need to do in the beans.xml. Why? Because in my code here, I don't really use any deprecated or removed API between Java EE8 and Jakarta EE10. I'm just using the generally much more vanilla APIs that still exist in Jakarta EE10. So I don't really have much of a problem. Now let's use a deprecated API here. Let's come here and say at context, say private URI info, and now run the upgrade advisor tool again. We should see some different advisory. Now you can see we have a different advisory here. It says line of code, line 34 here, line 34, and it says expression at context, source file, hello resource.java. The context at context annotation is deprecated, and future versions of Jakarta REST will no longer support it. So this annotation here has been deprecated since Jakarta EE 10. And so it is scheduled for removal. So a best practice is to avoid using it. So in place of @context, you are going to use @inject, because the entire platform is moving towards harmonizing and using CDI, Jakarta CDI, as the central piece that orchestrates and glues together the disparate units of the platform. So this annotation, for instance, has been deprecated. And so when I run the upgrade advisor tool, you will see it scanned the entire project, and then it's giving me these warnings here. So you can use this as the first step in your application to know the things you're supposed to do to aid the upgrade tools, the transformation tool, which will be coming to shortly. So this is the first step. What do I need to do? What's going to get broken if I upgrade? What do I need to expect? This upgrade advisor tool should come in handy in cases like that. So you see, of course, in a production application, especially for Java EE applications that are known to be very long-lived, you're going to have fairly old applications that will have some baggage. And this upgrade advisor tool should help you be able to know what to look out for. So fair enough. We are done. We've looked at what to remove, what to expect. Now, the actual upgrade itself. As I mentioned initially, the actual upgrade simply entails transforming the Javax to Jakarta. That is the first step, and that is the baseline upgrade step you need to perform. The first step, transform Javax to Jakarta. And for that, there are different tools out there you can use for that. The two key ones are Eclipse Transformer and the Open Rewrite tool. Eclipse Transformer is much popular in the Jakarta community, and here at Pyara, we've bundled it into the various IDEs. So there are different ways you can do it. You can upgrade through Maven in a way that anytime you package your Java EE applications, you will have the transformer tool do the transformation for you, just as our enterprise is doing. But the upgrade I want us to look at is actually upgrading the source and everything, and the project version and everything, so that you can use the new APIs. So let's step in. Now here, any questions so far, Dominica?
Yes, we actually do have a couple of questions, so if you're ready to take
Nice.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. So Louis, I think, was first. He's asking, and good morning. Yeah, good morning, Louis. Good afternoon from me. If you could help with a question, Jakarta data, can it be used with Jakarta 10 or only with Jakarta 11?
Jakarta data is going to be part of Jakarta 11, but as of now, you can use it in Jakarta EE 10. But it's going to be shipped as part of the Jakarta EE 11 release.
Okay, great. Then another question from Andreas. Is it possible to run this advisory tool in Gradle?
Yes, the advisory tool is a standalone tool. What I'm doing here is actually a shortcut. Instead of going out there to download it, it's available on Maven Central. So you can download the jar file and then use it as part of your Gradle build tool.
Okay, and then we've got...
So in your Gradle build process and everything, you can use the jar file that you get from the Maven Central for this upgrade advisor tool to be part of your build process. It should work.
Great. Yeah, sorry, Lukman, for interrupting you.
Sure.
Yeah, so the last question so far for now is the one from Thomas, and you might need to check the link he sent in the Q&A.
Okay.
It's in Jakarta EE 10, the namespaces for the JSF was changed to Jakarta.faces. How should it be exactly, for example? And there's the example that Thomas posted.
Okay, in Jakarta EE 10, namespaces for JSF was changed to Jakarta faces. How would it be example? how would it be exactly? For example, yeah, so everywhere there is a reference to Java EE, it would change to Jakarta. That is essentially the change. So everywhere there is Java EE, also it's in we'll be coming to that in the beans.xml. Everywhere there's a reference to Java EE, it has to be transformed to Jakarta EE. So for JSF, it's in theory fairly simple. So you just have to scan through and then find places where there is, if you're doing this manually anyway, find places where there's a reference to Java EE and then change it, transform or refactor it to Jakarta EE.
Great.
Any more questions?
Yeah, that's all for now. Thank you. Thank you everyone for
Okay.
the questions. We can carry on.
Nice. Yes. So we have our Java EE application that we want to transform. Now, like I said, there are different ways you can do the transformation, but to maintain a standard and uniform example here, I'm going to use the Eclipse transformer as a standalone tool. I'm not going to use it bundled with the IDE. Of course, all the IDEs support this. For IntelliJ, for instance, if I come to refactor here, you can see there is transform to Jakarta EE10. And this is going to do exactly the same thing. And this feature here is available in all the IDEs. It's available in Eclipse, it's available in NetBeans, it's available in Visual Studio Code and all. So this is there. Now, I know all of you don't use IntelliJ, so let's use the command line and use the advisor, the transformer tool. We need to first download the transformer tool, which I already did. So let's go back here. Para 6 apps here, transformer. So we download the distribution here and then unzip it. When you unzip the distribution, you're going to have this jar file here. So this jar file is what we are going to use to transform our application to Jakarta EE10. So let's go back to the IDE here. We are going to do this. I've already run this, so I will just do this to show you. So here we have this particular structure here. You're going to say Java jar, and then you give the full path to the command line jar file, and then you pass in first the source where you want the tool to navigate and to sort of recursively walk and do the transformation for you, and then where it should keep those transformed artifacts, the class files, the .xml files, anything it can transform, you want to give it a place to keep it. So here, so let's create this package, this directory here. We're going to close this. Yeah. And then let's create this directory and say source underscore transform. Here. So we are saying go into this folder, do the transformation for us, and put all the transformation into this folder here. Now, behind the scenes, the IDEs are using this tool behind the scenes. But of course, they give you a shiny interface to be able to just click around and get it done. But to be able to do it in a tool agnostic way, you can download the Eclipse Transformer tool. And the reason why I recommend downloading the Eclipse Transformer tool is that you can simply add it to any build infrastructure you have, any setup you have, you can use it and then get it done. Of course, the Eclipse Transformer also has a Maven plugin that you can use. So for instance, if you have a large, complicated, multi-module Maven project, then you can have it in the parent directory, run it, and then in the parent POM file, run it, and then it should transform all the other ones. There are different ways. There's really no right or wrong way. There's always an it depends way of doing it. But in the end, it's the same tool. Most of the time, you're going to use the Eclipse Transformer to get it done, as we are doing here. So let's click this. Of course, I changed this 1 second. Come back here, copy this guy, copy location, come here, and then say Java jar And then paste this. And then say source. And then source underscore transform. And then run this. So as you can see, it has run through everything and then done the transformation for us. So if we come into this folder now, we have the same structure as we do in this source folder here. So this here now is the upgraded version of our code. So if you come here, you see this is Jakarta. Let me just close this here. If you come here, close this a little. This is Jakarta. If we go here, this here is the Java version, and this is the upgraded. This is the upgraded version. So the tool has done all of this for us. Now, it's not just the Java files. If you come to the resources folder, if you look at the beans.xml, you see it's also transformed the beans.xml. So here, you can see it transformed this. Now, if I go back to the old beans.xml, you can see here is Java EE and it's CDI 2.0. But with the transformed one, here, we have Jakarta EE here, and we have CDI 3.0. So the Eclipse Transformer tool has gone in and done all of this for us. Now, once this is done, the responsibility lies with you, the developer, to now copy these to the respective places. So let's do that. Let me just close all these guys here. Any questions so far, Dominica?
No new questions that I can see, but yeah, if people have any more, then keep them coming.
Okay, nice. So now let's copy this guy, copy, and paste it here. Yes. Overwrite. So now we have overwritten this one, but you can see it's red. You're going to see why in a second. Let's copy this guy also. Paste it here. So we have this here. Now we also have the beans.xml and then the persistent.xml. The microprofile config file, the properties file stays the same. It's that there's nothing here, so this can stay the same. So now let's copy these two guys, this and this here, and paste them here. Overwrite for all. So now we have our beans updated. We have our persistence file also updated. So all is good. Now we need to fix this guy. This is why we are having these guys here. Why? Because the tool does the transformation, but it doesn't touch the POM file. We'll need to manually do the upgrade. Now it is in here that you need to consider all other dependencies your project has. Currently, we have Java EE 8 and Microprofile 4. So we want to upgrade these guys. So let's upgrade them here. Let me copy these guys over from another project. Let's upgrade to Jakarta EE 10. So we can just copy this like this, copy this and this, and then bring them here so we can paste these here. So we have Jakarta EE 10 and Microprofile 6. And so we can safely remove these here. And then ask the IDE to refresh the project. And then we should be good. So now you should see that the IDE is now giving us the green light. So we are good. And so this upgrade is done. We have moved from Java EE 8 to Jakarta EE 10 without really breaking a lot of things. And again, I can say that no matter how complicated your project is, if you take a staggered approach to the upgrade, you generally shouldn't have much of a problem because most of the projects in the entire Java ecosystem have upgraded to the Jakarta namespace anyway. So it's just a matter of upgrading the versions of your project, moving from Javax to Jakarta, and then you should be good. Now, again, I will emphasize that there is no right or wrong way. As developers, we sometimes fall in the trap of thinking there is a single way of, there's no right or wrong way. There's just different ways of doing it. And if there are different ways of doing something, I always opt for the easiest way. And this is the easiest way to get it done, at least from my perspective. That is the easiest way. Use the transformer tool, transform from JavaX to Jakarta, go to your POM file, do the necessary upgrades, and then you are done. So here we upgraded from Java EE to Jakarta EE, and then from microprofile 4.1 to microprofile 6. So now let's try and compile our application. Let's say maybe clean package here, and then all should work out well for us. And so our application is packaged. Now let's try and deploy the application again. Let's make some tiny change here. Say index file, index.html. We didn't copy this, so let's go and copy the index file. Okay, we don't really need anything from this index file because this is just an HTML file, so there doesn't need to be any upgrade here. So we can leave it and change it directly here and say, instead of Java EE, we can say Jakarta EE 10. And then we can say your Jakarta EE 10 app is running. So let's recompile, repackage this guy. Good. Now let's try and redeploy this guy again. And then it's successful. So you can see that now it's still working. There's been no change. Now let's go and check out again if it works. Yes, it is working. Let's see. And yes, it is working. So we've upgraded from Java EE to Jakarta EE 10. Now, again, you can generally have an almost flawless upgrade with no downtime. When I say flawless, I mean you have an upgrade where you don't have a whole outage for hours. Sometimes 10, 15 minutes, up to an hour of outage to do a few switching and deployments. That's absolutely understandable. So using patterns like this, you can have a very painless upgrade. If you use a staggered approach, first of all, you can download Myriad Enterprise, try and see if you can deploy the application, your Java EE application. So you deploy it, yeah, it's working, okay, nice. Then use the Upgrade Advisor tool to check what could go wrong. What are the what the facts you should seek out for, and then you know what to look out for. So in our example here, where we use @context in the project here, this @context here is marked for removal. So once you upgrade, you know to change those to @inject. And so you have @inject now. So you are safe knowing that future versions of Jakarta REST aren't going to break your application, because as the tool advised, future versions of Jakarta REST, which will be shipped with future versions of Jakarta EE, could remove the @context annotation completely. And if you still rely on that, you could be in trouble. So using the Upgrade Advisor tool, once you upgrade, then you can walk through your project and make some of these changes. And then generally, you should be fine. Any questions so far?
I knew that you're going to ask at this point. No questions. No questions
Nice.
for now.
Okay, so let's go. We are done with this guy. Let me bring this guy here and then open another project. The first project was a fairly simple project with no dependencies. Now, this project here has a dependency on Vaadin. For the UI, we are using Vaadin. For those of you who don't know Vaadin, Vaadin is a Java framework for writing user interfaces in Java. So if you are mostly a pure Java developer like myself, it gives you very shiny APIs to be able to craft user interfaces. So we can just quickly take a look at a demo of the app running here first. Dev ChatGPT here. Copy this URL and come here. So this is a sample of this project, deploy to Pyra Cloud here. Now, this project is a Jakarta EE application that uses the OpenAI GPT API. So let's go in here and take it for a spin. We can say a group of Java developers gathered for a webinar. So let's see what image gets generated for us. This is using the OpenAI GPT API. So I'm not expecting anything. Okay, well, okay, it's usable. Nice. Now let's go here. This is also going to the GPT API. This goes directly to ChatGPT. I am using it's a project. It's an app that goes to GPT to ask it. So you pass it a city. So let's say London or Malvern, for instance, and then a budget of £1,500. And all I'm saying is that give me itinerary suggestions for how to spend this money in this city. And then we should have some things back if we are lucky, because sometimes GPT doesn't get it right. So we have something here, the flying pig, Malvern Hill Winery. Dominica, are these places in Malvern? I have no idea.
Yes, there is theatre, although I wouldn't call it city, it's town, but yeah.
Yeah, sometimes ChatGPT makes things up.
It is a little bit made up, but we can find things that will match these, yes.
Okay, nice. Okay, so this is deployed to Pyra Cloud. Anyway, you can take a spin. You can take Pyra Cloud also for a spin for free for 14 days. Yeah, so back here, this project here depends on Vaadin, and Vaadin is what is giving us this UI here. So let's try to upgrade this project. This project is currently on Java EE 8 here. And you can see Eclipse micro profile, and it's using Vaadin 23. Yeah, Vaadin 23 is based on Java EE or Jakarta EE 8. So we need to upgrade this guy as well. Now, this is going to be a little bit complicated. Let's start by trying to deploy this project also on the running server instance and see what happens. Come here, then I can say maybe clean package -p production here. Okay, this is building. This is Vaadin doing a few magical stuff to be able to generate the WAR file for me. Okay, so this is done. Now let's copy the location of the WAR file here. Nope, here, target, in the target folder here, and say open here, open in Dolphin, copy location, open the terminal, and then let's try and deploy this as admin, deploy, false, there's none. Go. Now this should fail. Let's navigate to the server log and check. First of all, shouldn't take that long. Here, service, enterprise, Pyra 6, Glassfish, domains, production, logs, server log, see what is going on. If you come down, there should be some exception somewhere here. So you can see it failed here with an exception. This exception should cause, so you can see deployment has failed. Why? Because the tool was unable to do some transformation on this. Now, like I mentioned, the Transformer 2 bundled with prior enterprise is a best effort basis. So most of the time it works, but there are times when you have projects that depend on other projects that have been upgraded yet, then you're going to have problems like this. So in this case, you have no option other than to bite the bullet and do the upgrade, and then you can deploy it. So this here, if I go to the project, and then I come to, I say Maven dependency tree grep delta spike. You can see there's a delta spike dependency here. Now, if I come to this place and I say analyze dependencies per set for delta spike, you can see Varden has a dependency on delta spike here. So this delta spike guys here are pulled in by Varden CDI. And so we need to bite the bullet and upgrade. So we can do the same thing. We can say, let's copy the same command here. Maven, no, that's Maven here. Let's copy this command. First, seek advice from the tool, clear this, paste. As always, you want to use the upgrade advisor tool to check if there is any holes in front of you, any potholes you should be aware of to be able to avoid. Now here, the advisor tool is done, and it's telling us that there is some new stuff that we can use. So it says Jakarta Persistence 3.1, new generation type was added. Now you can use new type because we have a JPA entity in our project. It's telling us the new things that come with that. So we have used this guy somewhere. So if you go to City Trip, this is the JPA. So you can see here, it is telling us that we are using on line 6 here. So there's a new addition to the generation type here. If we go here, we won't see it here because this is still Java EE 8. But it's telling us that in Java EE 10, there is a new addition, UUID. So there's a new generation type, UUID, natively, or that is native to Jakarta Persistence. In the past, you had to rely on external libraries like Hibernate to be able to use the UUID type as the primary key type. But in Jakarta EE 10, there's native support for it in Jakarta Persistence. So that is what the tool is advising us. Because when it scanned our project, it realized that we are using this, and so it's informing us of this. So generally, we are safe here. We are not using deprecated APIs. We are using something that has an addition to it. So we should be good to go. We should be good to go. So let's clear this. And then same as the other side, we can create a folder. Let's come here and create a folder here. Any questions so far, Dominica? You can say source.
Yeah, we've got one more question. So,
okay.
Thomas is asking, is Vaadin better choice for UI like Jakarta Faces or Prime Faces?
Again, it's neither better nor worse, and JSF is neither better nor worse than Vaadin. It's always, and it depends. So if you are productive in JSF or Vaadin, or your company or project uses JSF or Vaadin, or whichever you are comfortable, in the end, whichever gets the job done for you in the most efficient way is what is best. I know JSF, I use JSF, I use Vaadin, and both of them have their places. They have their flaws, they have their strengths and all of that. In the end, you have choices. And as a chef, as a developer, you are a chef. The more knives, cutting knives you have in your tool set, the better chef you become. Because there are places where you need to use certain knives to cut certain things. And so the more knives you have, or the more tools you have in your kitchen set, the better chef you become. So it's always an it depends situation. There is neither better nor worse. It's always which one gets the job done with the most efficiency, with the most efficient cost and everything. And then that is what is best. So Vaadin, JSF, whichever works best for you is what you choose.
Great,
Okay,
thanks.
so
Thanks, Lukman. Yeah, that was the last question so far. So.
nice. Okay, so now we can do again, we can run our upgrade with the transformer tool here. We have created our folder here. We can run our transformer tool. So let me copy the path again. I lost it. Here, we copy this path, copy location here, and then we can say Java, jar, yeah, same thing. Come on. Yes, of course. Java, jar, and then I can paste this here, and then I can say source, and then I can say source underscore transformed and done. And so this guy also does it for us. So luckily, nicely, we have no errors. Everything is transformed for us. If we come in here, we should have the same thing we did the last time. Close this. No, thank you. Should have resources, web app, Java. So all these guys have been transformed for us. Now, let's be a little bit lazy this time around. Let's copy this whole folder or this whole package, copy, and come here. So let's paste this fish.pyara. Is it going to work? Yes, let's copy the pyara. Yeah, let's paste this. All right, all. Yeah, so here, everything has been upgraded, nice and smooth. From Javax to Jakarta, everything should work fine. Now, we'll need to do the last manual step here. So we need to change this here. First of all, version 23 is based on Java EE. So we need to upgrade version here to 24. Now, I already have a branch for this. So we can simply compare and cheat a little, compare with branch, Jakarta EE. So this version here, we can accept this and go back here. So now this is the Jakarta EE version. I think this is even updated to 6.21.24.1.6 here. And then we need to upgrade our platform versions here as well. So I'll just copy these guys here. There's two, copy, and then paste these guys here. And then we are good. Could just remove this. And then we are good. So tell ID to reload. And then this is done. So here, everything has been upgraded. We should be good here. So everything should work for us. We can try to compile this guy, Maven, clear the screen, Maven clean, Maven clean package, the production here. And so as you can see, Vaadin is downloading some NPM related stuff because Vaadin takes your Java files and then generates the UI in JavaScript and does all the front end antics, bundles everything together in your wall for you. So you have user interfaces like we have here. So this is, I wrote all of this is all in Java, but Vaadin took it and then transformed it to a JavaScript project. So if you look at the source, you can see it's one giant JavaScript file that Vaadin is using to display all of this for us. Again, Vaadin is neither better or JSF is better or this is better. As developers, we sometimes get in the trap of seeing things in absolute. There's always shades of gray. Nothing is really absolute. Nothing is really binary. It's always an it depends. It's always an which one is much more efficient for this problem at hand. And then you just use that tool and carry on with your life. So let's go back here. This guy is still downloading. This could take some time, but generally it should work. Now, once this is done, then the upgrade is over. You are done with the upgrade. Now, the post-upgrade steps generally entails testing, thorough testing, to ensure that things are working. Of course, you could do all of these, the project could compile and everything, and things can just go wrong. So the post-upgrade steps include thorough testing, and you generally want to do a lot of staging, at least 1 or 2 staging before you roll out the upgrade to production. So this, for instance, you would start this locally, everything is working, and ideally you should have a staging server where you would deploy this, and the staging server should just be a sort of a replica of the production environment. So you can call it pre-prod, others call it pre-prod, others call it staging. It doesn't really matter. It should be a replica. It's essentially a photocopy of the production environment. It's just that it's not user-facing. So you have pre-prod where you try to deploy this upgraded artifact to. And there you have your business team or quality assurance team, or however you ensure consistency in your project. You will have those systems take over and do a thorough end-to-end testing, not just nitpicking, but end-to-end. And end-to-end means you will have humans do the manual test, and then if you have automated tests, they should also run end-to-end to ensure everything is working. And then you can start looking at pushing to production. Of course, you should never push to production on a Friday. You could do it on a Monday, Tuesday, probably Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, but you should never do it on a Friday as usual. Dominica, any question?
No, no more questions at the moment.
Nice. So in push to pre-prod, check that everything is working, and then you are fairly good to go. So to recap what we've discussed so far, upgrading to Jakarta EE 10 from Java EE 8 or Jakarta EE 8 is fairly simple and straightforward. The first step is to see what has been removed. Of course, there are many resources that will tell you what came out with Jakarta EE 10. You should read up, update yourself with the spec. You can always download the full spec from the Eclipse website. You should check it out. And then you want to see which part of the removed part or deprecated part you have used in your project. Of course, this can be a very tedious manual process. So you can use the Pyara Upgrade Advisor tool, for instance, to do that. So once you check, the Upgrade Advisor tool will tell you things to expect. So as we saw in this and the other project, in the other project, we used a deprecated API, and it told us. In this project, we used an API from the Jakarta persistence, and it told us something that had been added to it. So the Upgrade Advisor tool is quite comprehensive. It will scan your project and then tell you everything in there. Now, once you see all of that, then you can proceed with the transformation. And again, you can use different ways to do the transformation. Here, what we did was to use the command line interface of the Eclipse Transformer tool to do the job. You can also use the ones bundled with the IDEs, or you can use the Maven Transformer tool, Eclipse Transformer and Maven plugin to do it. It doesn't really matter. In the end, whatever tool you use should be able to transform your Javax packages to Jakarta, their Jakarta equivalent. Now, once that is done, you need to step into your POM file and then update the dependency versions. And then once you do that, then you should be ready to deploy your application to the staging environment, do thorough testing, and then once you are good, you can deploy to production, except on Fridays, of course. You can deploy to production, and then you are done. Now, you really should start thinking about this if you are still running Java EE, because Jakarta EE 10 is the baseline for much more faster innovation on the platform. And of course, for us here at Pyara, we are always thinking about your productivity. And that is why we have tools like the Upgrade Advisor tool to help ease your life. So start from that point and then see. And also, depending on your project, you can download a trial version of Pyara Enterprise and then try to deploy your Java EE 8 application to it to see how it fares. And that should give you a fair idea of what to expect when you upgrade. And then once you are done with that, you should be good to enjoy all the benefits of Jakarta EE 10. And with that, I hand over to Dominica in the absence of any questions.
Thank you, Lukman. That was really insightful and hopefully useful for everyone here. Yes, so once again, I remind you that if you need to get back to anything that Lukman said today, you can watch the recording. Just use the same link that you've received in your invite, and you can access the recording. You should be able to access it within the next 30 minutes, and we will also add it to the to our YouTube channel in the next week or so. And as Lukman already mentioned, we've got a trial of Payara Enterprise available where you can give it a go if you haven't already. You can find it on our website, payara.fish, try free. And we actually have 2 free trials available at the moment. Payara Platform Community is always free. It's always there for you to download. If you are not aware of that, you can always access it on our website and on in Maven. But you can also get Payara Enterprise, try it for free. You just need to fill in the form on our website. And we recently launched, only last month, we launched a new trial of Payara Cloud, which is also a really good offer for you to try your Jakarta EE apps. So you can try it for free, Payara Cloud, try it for free for 15 days. Again, using this link on our website, try free, and then you can go into a Payara Cloud free trial. So I recommend you to do that. And yes, remember not to deploy on Friday. I really like that, Lukman. I think, yeah, I have to remember that myself too. And also, while you're still here, I also wanted to mention that at Payara, we are growing. We are constantly recruiting. And so if any of you are looking for a new role, or maybe you know anyone that is looking, especially in this day and age, I know there's always people looking for jobs. So Payara team is recruiting. We literally just had 2 offers on this page, on our join us page, which were taken down because of the amount of people that applied. But we are still recruiting, so we will be publishing more roles very soon, both technical and non-technical roles. So if you want to hear what's available, you can always sign up to see other roles that we've got if this page is not displaying anything. So I do encourage you, if you are sort of looking to change something in your career, then keep an eye on our website, on our social channels, because we are advertising new roles pretty much monthly. So yes, I think that's all from me. So yes, remember all of the points that Lukman mentioned. You can always revisit those. I do recommend you to have a go at Payara Cloud and Payara Enterprise if you haven't tried already. And I will be announcing the next event next week. So keep an eye on our blog, keep an eye on your emails if you signed up to emails through blog.payara.fish. And yes, I think that's all for today. So again, thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much, Lukman, for the demo. And I hope to see you next time. Have a good day. Have a good evening.